Messiah is coming, the Messiah is coming. And when the Messiah shall come, it shall be like this. And in that literature, we find the final words that are spoken are the bell that rings. They are the authentic and important and imperative words. So let's go now to the tradition of Matthew's Gospel. Okay? And we find, we've got to flick over chapter 48. What does Jesus say? What's the last thing he says? I mean, he could have said many things before he ascended into heaven. He could have said, you know, I want you to don't commit adultery, or, you know, I want you to be faithful to my words, or I want you to forgive your enemy. These are all very important teachings of Christ. But what does he actually say? When we flick over, we find, go to the whole world. Okay? What do I do in the whole world? And preach my commandments and make disciples of all nations. Not just Ukraine, not just Greece, not just Russia, Bulgaria, America, but all nations. That's the commandment of Christ, okay? So that is what he says. Baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. So if he puts that as the last words, it's called the last will and testament. If he puts that as his last will and testament, my question is, why are we doing it? Well, we are. And I'm here to tell you that we are doing it. Okay? And we are doing a lot of work in Africa. Now, it is true that we don't have the numerical numbers that our Roman Catholic brothers and sisters have. We don't have the economic power of the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church is doing great work in Africa. In every slum, you'll find a little Mother Teresa. In every pocket of poverty, you'll find an old Irish lady helping the poor. It's amazing. Because we do hear so many bad things about the Roman Church. But on the ground there, I see what they're doing. Sometimes we work together with them to help the poorest of the poor. And they are good at that. But we do not have that manpower in our church. First of all, you ladies are not nuns, you see. And so therefore, we don't have the nun power that the Catholics have. I have to consider the problems of the African woman. I have to sit down with the African woman and work out this and this and this. It would be much better if there was a Greek Orthodox nun or a Ukrainian Orthodox nun there to take care of it. But for some reason, I don't know what it is, we don't have that view of the nun. A nun is like a loser in our church, or it's viewed like a loser. A nun is a champion, right? But we got to, Father Anthony, we've got to change the image of the nun.
Amen, brother.
Can you do that for me? I'll come back next year and check up on it. We need 3 nuns from here. Now, having said all that, we also have to face extraordinary circumstances. I know you have 5 here, and that would have been quite sad for you and quite a tragic situation, but I'm glad that things have come back properly again and will come even better. But we face extraordinary situations that the seminary would never teach you, and where your Bachelor of Theology will never really teach you. How do you handle a war? How do you handle a civil war? Well, I suppose now in the Ukraine that's not so strange. Unfortunately, and I cry to God, let there be peace in the Ukraine. Orthodox brothers are killing Orthodox brothers. Oh my goodness. What a tragedy. Okay? But so there is war now among us in the Orthodox world. But in Africa, we encounter wars quite frequently. And we need to know how to handle it. What do you do in a war? What is the role of an Orthodox priest when there's a civil war going on? But where you're not taking sides, where you're not taking sides. It's not as if, you know, I'm on the Russian side, I'm on the Ukraine. No, none of that. It's a war on, and you are trying to maneuver between two parties, and you're trying to just to help the people without taking sides, you see. And this is what we face in Africa quite constantly. So my first DVD, we didn't get the lights switched off, Father Tony. We didn't get those lights switched off. Now, this is unfortunately the reality of war. What I'm going to show you now is, you're not going to like it, and some of you may walk out, okay? But let me put it this way. This is a question I always ask people. How many Jewish people died in the Second World War? No, wait, brother, just hang on a minute. How many Jewish people died in the Second World War? How many?
8 million.
Say it again.
8 million?
8 million is going a bit high. Can I get something more? 6 million. Okay. How long ago did that happen? 70 years ago, 80 years ago. Okay? All right. How many people died in the last 10 years in the Congo in the Civil War? 1,500? No, not quite. But have you heard about the Congo War? The answer is no, right? You haven't heard about the Congo Civil War, have you? Hello? No. It's not important. Ladies and gentlemen, 6 million people have died in the last 15 years in the Congolese Civil War. 6 million people have died. You don't know about it. How come you know 6 million Jews died in the Second World War? The reason is because the press, the newspapers, don't report it. Why don't they report it? It's only Africa. It's subliminal racism. Okay? So when there's a war in Africa, it's not, you don't worry too much about it. 1 month ago, a group called Boko Haram in Nigeria, not far from where we are, in Sierra Leone, kidnapped 200 girls, sold them off, just took off. They kidnapped another 200, take them, sell them. Nobody. It's only Africa. Ebola. We were suffering from Ebola in Sierra Leone for months, and nobody came to our help. Nobody. Suddenly, one guy, an American guy, gets Ebola, and he comes back here, it's world news. It's America, world news. When thousands of Africans were dying months before, he didn't know about it. You understand what I'm getting at? Can somebody wake up here? Can you understand what I'm saying? Hello? Okay. Now, I'm going to show you war and orthodoxy, how the Orthodox Church handles a war situation. This is shocking, okay? All right. Now what you do, you turn that, put that on. All right, now show you what you do. What you do. Come here. What is this? English? Yeah. All right. Put it on. Yeah. That's it. Now put the volume on.
by the so-called developed world. These wars have continued to this very day. Some 6 million people have died as a result of these wars. In 1994, a genocide of the Tutsi tribe occurred in Rwanda. In less than 100 days, nearly 1 million people were executed. Since 2002 until 2010, nearly 250,000 indigenous African people have been slaughtered in West Sudan. From 1992 until 2002, a barbaric civil war waged in Sierra Leone with unimaginable cruelty waged upon a civilian population characterized by the amputation of legs and arms. Wars have long-reaching consequences. With the breakdown of social and political order, governments become ineffective. There is also a breakdown in moral and spiritual values, characterized with the exploitation of girls and women. In conflict and post-conflict zones, international philanthropic assistance is absolutely imperative. Millions of people in sub-Saharan Africa are living in horrible, squalid conditions. Of Sierra Leone, we are providing free shelter for the disabled, housing for volunteers, free medical facilities, free spiritual counseling, and free educational services. We also provide free feeding programs and distribution of clothes. Volunteers from all over the world, especially from Greece, the United States of America, and Australia. Has begun. break down of moral values in wartime, it is important after the war to instill strong moral and Christian values.
I think humor. I think some American jokes. Anyway, so there's a lot of things that have to be done there. My next project, well, what we are doing there is we have two to three schools there. Combined population of students is to be 2,000. Then we have a clinic, as you saw. We're taking care of people without legs and arms, okay? Because there's no government safety net there. There's no Obamacare there, okay? That's an American joke. Now, and there is no way in which a widow can get help. The average salary for a family is about $1 a day. Okay, and you're living in a tin shed. Forget electricity, forget water. That's a luxury. Forget washing machines, forget refrigerator, forget a television. Forget computers for kids. That doesn't exist, right? So we're talking, ladies and gentlemen, 3 billion people on this planet. 3 billion people are living under $2 a day. Okay, that's the reality. You are the rich of the world. As I said this morning at the church, if you're earning $50,000 or more, but 50,000 is the point here, you belong to the 10% of the richest people on this planet. $50,000, 10% of the richest people on this planet, right? So you need to understand your responsibilities and your status on this planet. You have been blessed and you have been given so much. But the problem is we can't see it. We take for granted so many things, the basic things. 3 billion people, 3 billion. Half the world doesn't have what we in the Western world have. We need to thank God about that. We need to thank our Lord for what He has given us. But that comes with a responsibility that we have to help those who are not so blessed as we are. So that's the first thing that I wanted to show you. The war, the aftermath of the war, and how we try to mend. Wars come so easily, and destruction comes so easily through wars. But then we have to come in and pick up the pieces. See, it's easy to destroy. It's easy to shoot a gun. It's easy to shoot a missile. It's easy, you push a button, that's all. But when the missile blows up everything, it's the church that comes in and picks up the pieces, you see. So we're trying to do that. Now, this nation has suffered from poverty as well. We have polio in West Africa, and polio is considered because of their superstition, because voodoo came from West Africa, but it's called juju. When it came to Jamaica and Haiti, it became voodoo. But originally it was called juju, okay? So that's a mispronunciation of juju, voodoo. What we have there is the mother of voodoo. So they have all these superstitions about this and that and that. They have the witch gun, this and that. And so our church tries to implement the correct teachings of Christ, and they believe in all these superstitions. I say, you go ahead and do all these things to me and nothing will happen to me, because they believe in the witch gun. The witch gun is, if you don't want, it's the pin in the doll, you know, the voodoo pin in the doll. If you don't like somebody, you kill them with by putting a doll and you put a pin in, but you know there it's slightly different. It's called the witch gun, in which they shoot at you with a pretend gun with a piece of rice, and the rice piece is the bullet. And they go to the voodoo man, they go to the witch man, you know, and he prepares it, and then he said, well, I want him gone. So they go and just throw this piece of rice at him, and that person will have serious problems. And I say to them, come on, shoot me with your witch gun. Nothing will happen to me, nothing. Because the blood of Christ will cover me, you see. So I preach so hard against witchcraft, against voodoo. That's part of their DNA. It's part of their spiritual DNA. And slowly, even Ebola, they think, has got something to do with some witchcraft. The invisible witch plane crashed and gave us Ebola. That kind of thought. So the superstitions that are there are in many ways retarding economic growth. Because even intellectual people, even the middle class, even the educated, still believe in these things, you see, unfortunately. Now, why am I saying all this? Because polio is considered to be part of that world of witchcraft. So if you give birth to a child with polio, it's considered that there was a curse upon you. And that child carries that curse, the polio curse. So you have to get rid of him. You have to abandon him or her. And the abandonment of children with polio is one of the curses that we face. And we do all we can to help them, and, to educate them and so forth. We get them wheelchairs, we do this, we even build houses for them, we let them stay with us. And we try to re-educate them concerning the whole concept of polio. And even they believe it. They'll say, how did you get polio? Well, the snake came and the snake gave this spell on me and something, and that's why I got polio. No, you got polio because there's a virus that came into you. That's why you got polio. It's nothing to do with curses and so forth. So it's a slow process of education. Now, when the children are abandoned by their parents because they even have too many kids, and so therefore you get rid of the child that will be not productive. Okay, he will go to bed if he's lucky, if she's lucky. But basically, what they do is they form a pact. The disabled, they form a pact in the streets, and they come together. And this pact will go begging together. They will protect each other and so forth. One of these packs we took and we put them in one of our compounds to help them out. So I'm going to show you now what happens when kids get abandoned and they have nothing to eat and they have to survive as best as they can, and what we can do to help them. Brother? Yeah. Cheers. Unless you've got questions. Can you see? It's too light, isn't it? No, it's fine. It's fine? Yeah. All right. I'll play here. Come here. Right. Now, what's it? No. Yeah, just try. Where's that chapter 2? Or is it? Let's see. Go back again. I think, yeah, okay. Come here. Let's see, where is it? There it is. There it is.
In our planet today, there is no region where a child may suffer more hardships than in sub-Saharan Africa. Every day, some 30,000 children in Africa die of hunger, deprivation, or diseases.
Every day is the same. I wake up and I feel empty.
Before the sun is up, I scour the dumps.
I search all day. Is this normal? One more day that I am in my bed. I'm afraid I will never feel full again. Where can I go for help? Food.
Poverty and unhygienic conditions may often lead to life-threatening diseases for children. The AIDS pandemic in Africa continues to kill millions of men, women, and tragically children. The devastating effect is that countless of children become orphaned. Without the protection of parents, these children become vulnerable to exploitation, hunger, and diseases. An unfortunate custom in some regions of Africa is the abandonment of children with polio.
This is Esther. At first, I thought she was a boy. And this is her older brother, Sam. Their behinds were shriveled, laced with deep lines left by that shrinking body mass. Their legs were tiny bones covered in dried out skin. It was clear to me that starvation had pushed these helpless kids to the verge of death.
This little boy is 7 years old.
Severe malnutrition leads to death. It stunts growth and forces the body to turn on itself for food. Sam is under 3 feet tall and weighs under 20 pounds. Both Sam and Esther were also afflicted with polio. Neither of them could walk. We could not imagine why they were abandoned, left starving, lying hopelessly in the dirt. As we tried to absorb the nightmare before us and figure out what we should do, a little girl emerged from the bush.
This little girl is the sister of those 2 little boys.
Jane, a very small 8-year-old. She had walked miles to fetch water in order to bathe her brother and sister. They could only stand in horror and watch. We watched in utter fascination as this little determined girl bathed her siblings. While most 8-year-olds are busy playing, Jane faced a life and death situation alone. She could not feed her hungry brother and sister, but she could see how dirty they were, and it was within her power to take a long walk for some water, lug it back, and bathe the kids. Little Jane, a hungry child herself, assumed the awesome duties of a parent. To look into the face of a suffering child is to see the depth of humanity and the heart of God. Love is all that matters, and love compels us to reach out to Sam and Esther.
In contrast, a tiny minority of the world's population is enjoying life in abundant wealth, pursuing monetary interests, with an apparent indifference to the tears of the African child. Whilst 3 billion people are living on less than $2 a day, about 1/3 of the world's total food production on a daily basis gets lost, wasted, or discarded. The food that we waste in the Western world is more than the total food production of sub-Saharan Africa, and would feed more than 900 million people. That is the entire population of Africa 2 times over. Another aspect is the inequality of education. Most schools and colleges in the West have facilities that most sub-Saharan schools or colleges could only dream of. By contrast, most sub-Saharan schools have no electricity, no running clean water, and no hygienic toilets. The existence of libraries is also very rare. Currently in Sierra Leone, as in other parts of West Africa, there is a shortage of trained teachers. Many schools have to use unqualified teachers. In particular, this is the case in the area of early childhood education. How are we, the rich nations, addressing the challenge of regional economic inequality? Among the world organizations that are seeking to confront and alleviate the plight of the African child is the Orthodox Church. Of Alexandria and all Africa, with philanthropic and spiritual activities in many sub-Saharan nations. And about 5 years ago, an initiative was launched in the war-torn nation of Sierra Leone. Since the time of the termination of the Civil War. Nevertheless, Sierra Leone remains one of the poorest nations in the world. Some 3/4 of the population is living in poverty, and actually 1/4 of the population is living in extreme poverty, especially in the various slum areas of Freetown.
Goumbé is a sprawling slum built on a rubbish dump in Sierra Leone's capital, Freetown. 6,000 people call what is little more than an open sewer home. There's no electricity or running water, no sanitation, and just one rundown health clinic. It rains for 6 months of the year in Freetown, and Goumbé is extremely prone to flooding. In the rainy season, the putrid waters rise, filling homes and bringing rats, cockroaches, cholera, dysentery, and malaria. 1 in 4 of these children of Goumbé will die before their 5th birthday.
As you can see, the community people are suffering. This is the place we are living for. So we hate to see our community people live like this. So we are asking the Orthodox Bishop, as they concern for us, for them to help us to combat this situation.
What we're going to do today, we're going to give our community 1 million lira. As a result of war and poverty, children are usually even denied proper education, and hence the culture of poverty is perpetuated. In Sierra Leone, during the recent 11-year conflict, schools simply shut down. Many schools were destroyed. teachers fled, and consequently there was very little education during those years.
There was no school in the entire area. For the past 12 years, there was no school. Except maybe children who went to Liberia, some went to Guinea, some of them attended school there, but in Sierra Leone, this part of Sierra Leone, there was no school.
One of the priorities of our mission in Sierra Leone is the education and health of young children. We are running 2 schools with a combined pupil education of 1,700. One of our schools is in the outskirts of Freetown in Waterloo, an economically depressed area. Here we are providing free education in very good facilities with qualified teachers. We are also providing nutritional, hygiene, and health assistance. Free medical services, Orthodox Christian chaplaincy service, and athletic skills development. We are presently expanding the primary school with 3 new classrooms, a library, and teacher facilities. The Orthodox Church in Sierra Leone has also answered a national need to train teachers in the area of early childhood education. Right in the middle of Freetown, it's on a hill, down here, spectacular view of Freetown. We are running 2 programs with qualified local and international lecturers. One of them is IT training. The other program is teacher training in the area of early childhood.
We're teaching early childhood education.
So this is helping you to become a better administrator and a better teacher to primary school. The college library has one of the largest acquisition of books in West Africa. Over 60,000 volumes. What you see in front of you is only the tip of the iceberg, but they are the most important books right now for the 2 courses that we are offering in education and IT. Do the students steal any books here, Mr. Fortune? Not yet, but you're sure that you'll take care of it if they do, right? Thank you, Mr. Fortune. This is our new chapel. Of course, it has an Orthodox architectural design. This chapel is to serve our college. What he's doing right now is the icon of our Lord Jesus Christ, and he's using this other one as his model. Disability in West Africa is very widespread, specifically in Sierra Leone. This is due to polio as well as the consequences of civil war. Besides the daily challenge of poverty, polio victims in West Africa face the additional challenge of social abandonment and discrimination due to certain superstitious beliefs.
To be a Christian and African nation, we suffer a lot because we classify disabled people as nobody in the African setting.
We have created a residential compound for a particular disabled community in Waterloo. Here, we provide for them free accommodation, a feeding program, free education for their children, free medical services, spiritual guidance, and Orthodox Christian worship. Finally, a main aspect of our mission is to preach the gospel, catechize, and baptize in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Christ's love wipes away the tears of the African child.
We have a big line of people here after President's Day, and we give them money. And also we give them clothes and we give them food. So we're really doing what we can. Now, this is just the tip of the iceberg that I've shown you. But if there's any question you want to know, we are expanding, we are growing. There was nothing there. We started everything ex nihilo, from nothing, from the beginning. And now we've got these two big schools, we've got a teacher's college, we've got so many things. God is working in a very powerful way there, very strong way. We've got 3,000 people out of nowhere, they're coming. And, now why am I here in your country? I'm here to raise money to build an Ebola kids orphanage. That's what I'm here for. I've been invited in New York by the Greek Orthodox Church in New York to next weekend to raise money for this Ebola orphanage. Now, there are many, if mom and dad died of Ebola and the little kid is left on his arms, just like the kid there, she's going to go out in the streets and beg. That's her fate if she was in Sierra Leone. right? So instead of getting these kids out in the street begging in rags and barefoot, what I'm going to try to do with the grace of God is to bring him into the orphanage, but I'm going to need $250,000 to build this orphanage and to feed them and so forth. And I'm told I may get it, so I want your prayers about that. And I'll be gone in 1 week after this. So I hope with your prayers I will be able to do it. And the aim of it is to bring the kids into the orphanage, prepare them, then let them go out to be adopted in Canada, Australia, America, Europe. So it'll be like bringing them in, keep them there for a while, then get them adopted. Just keep moving them out, Okay, and that way we can get hundreds through and get them out of there. You understand? All right? Okay, that's what's happening. Any questions? Any comments? Somebody there? Somebody scratching their nose. You're starting to get my joke. It took 20 minutes.
Go ahead, speak on it.
Nobody?
No, yes.
Yes, sir. I don't see it.
Is there any connection with the Orthodox Christian Mission Center, your work, or IOCC?
Yeah, they've got limited, they got their own budget and they got their own sort of, program, right? So they try to help. But I rely on a group called Paradise for Kids Australia and Paradise for Kids USA. In fact, their director is here. Is Louis here?
Yeah, Louis here.
Yeah, right. Well, I may get him to speak to you. These are the people that send us the money, right? And Greece. I want you to know something about Greece. Despite all the talk about Greek exit from the European Union, and despite all the talk about the economic problems that Greece is facing, Greece is very generous to Africa. There's something people don't know. They are sending a lot of money to Africa. More than Germany, more than France, more than these big nations. Little Greece is pouring millions of euros into Africa through us, through the Orthodox Church, And we have built churches with Greek help, not just here where I am, but all over Africa. Angola, Congo, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and the Greek government is helping. And the Greek people are helping. Imagine at the worst moments, Father, at the worst moment of their life, and they're sending thousands of euros to Africa. That's something that very few people know. And, there's a lot of mocking of Greeks and a lot of, caricatures of Greeks. Very generous people. Very generous people. Very generous nation. Okay, any other comment?
Yes.
Okay, just very briefly, Father, have you seen any signs of Boko Haram spreading into Freetown?
They're close, but not in our country. But they're close. But our biggest problem, one of our biggest challenges we face is Islamic jihadism. Their aim, this ISIS group, I'm sure you've heard of them, their aim is to spread a caliphate from Damascus all the way to North Africa, the way it was in the Middle Ages, the ancient Islamic caliphate, right? And the aim of the game is to capture West Africa and to capture North Africa. And so Nigeria, and then they're moving into our regions as well. Mr. Tumbas, you have come. Now you think my accent, wait a minute, you think my accent is funny when it's this guy talk? How are you? You're okay? All right, beauty. Now, I'm going to get this gentleman to speak to you. This gentleman, with your blessings, Father. Yeah, he's a director of Paradise Kids Australia. And he's the man that makes a lot of these things come to fruition. I'm just a guy on the ground. But without people like him, what can I do? Unfortunately, we need money. Mother Teresa needed money. She couldn't do anything. The grace of God is number one, but you still have to have, the money to build the orphanages, to build the schools, to build them. This is where this guy comes in. Mr. Tumba, you're on.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for Father. Thank you. I'm sorry I was late, but like I said, I'm from Australia. It's a long way to come. But my American driver got lost.
How come they're laughing at you, not at me?
Some people.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm here is because Father Themi, he's a great man of God. And I've been with Father Themi and helping Father Themi for around 15 years. And I normally start off by saying that when I met Father Themi, my life started going downhill. Because once God tells you to help somebody, the devil comes and attacks. And my life was going very well, thank you very much, before I met Father Themi. And then the Lord said to me, go and help this man. And I want to tell you the story of how that happened. So you understand how I became involved with Father Themi and why I'm still here. 25 years ago in the city of Brisbane, Queensland. Can you hear me? I mean, it's my accent.
It's a state of Australia, like Rhode Island. It's called Queensland.
I'll try and speak a little slower. My parish priest and my spiritual father started the first English liturgy in Australia.
From Greek.
From Greek. Do you want to come over here?
No, it's okay.
And he said to me, Louis, there is a man in Sydney who is really cool. He's a great guy, and if we bring him to Brisbane, we can attract the youth. And I said, yes, no problem. He said, I need $2,000 to do this. I said, it's not a problem. So I drove my Bentley, that's the type of car that I was driving in those days, to go pick up this cool guy from the airport. And I'm in the car, and I was with my parish priest, and I see them coming towards the car, and here is a guy with a beard down to here, and a top hat, and a dress, and all these things, and I'm saying, where's the cool guy? I've just wasted $2,000. However, after we took him to the hotel room, and we started the 2-night seminar at the church, 2,000 people turned up. And the moment he opened his mouth, I was absolutely blessed. And we did that for a couple of times, and I didn't get close to him. And then all of a sudden he disappears on the face of the earth. I don't see him anymore. Until I get a phone call, and he says, oh, Louis, this is Father Themi, I'm in Brisbane, let's have Subway together.
That's Al Capone, that's not me.
That's you. That was him before he had his operation. And I'm thinking, priest, he's wanting money, that's what he wants, money, right? Okay, all right, better take some money with me. So we go to Subway. He says, Louis, I'm in Kenya, and I really need some help. And I said, brother, here's $1,000, leave me alone. It's basically, I'm shortening it up, putting it in a package. That happened for 2 or 3 years in a row. Every year he'd bring up, let's have Subway, here's $1,000, leave me alone. And then one day I made $200,000 in 7 days. That was great, it was fantastic, I was a genius. And the $200,000, 100 was mine and 100 was my partner's. And I went to my partner's house and we were celebrating making this $200,000. And I went out to the veranda on the 17th floor of a beautiful apartment. And I was saying to the Lord, God, I'll do whatever you want with this money. I'm waiting to hear something. I'm waiting for a text message or an email from God to tell me what he wants me to do with this money. Of course, in the back of my mind, I'd already spent the money. But I thought I'd go through the motions anyway and ask God if he wanted any part of this money. And I kid you not, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe 5 o'clock, it's late afternoon. He rings me.
From Kenya.
From Kenya. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, and this is the conversation. Hey, Louis. That's on the mic. God just woke me up, and you're on my mind. And I'm thinking, you God. That's what I'm thinking, right? And he just says, are you okay? I said, I'm fine, thank you, Father. He says, is your wife okay? Yes, no worries. Is your mum, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, your kids okay? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, good night. Bang. And I'm telling you, it was like a ton of bricks that hit me. So I rang up my wife and I said, darling, what are you doing Monday? It's Thursday. She goes, what do you mean, what am I doing Monday? I says, pack your bags, we're going to Africa. Now, I'm a businessman, so I thought to myself, I just bought a house in Cyprus. That's where I come from. I'm Greek Cypriot. I'll take a little bit of money to the priest, and while I'm there, I'll go to Cyprus, pay the house off, and fantastic. So my wife and I travelled to Kenya. He puts us in, oh, I've got you the best hotel in Kenya. Yeah, right. No, the man's blind. Right? He's got Coca-Cola bottle glasses. My wife, we spent 2 weeks there, and she just got involved in the schools and teaching in the schools, because I didn't finish school at all. My wife's got 2 bachelor degrees and a master's, right? So she's got all these letters behind her name. I got nothing. Anyway, so she helps the children. She walks the children from school into the slum area, which Father Themi told us not to do. While Father Themi and I pretend to be the big businessman and do the business with the banks and whatever. To cut a long story short, after I saw what Father Themi had accomplished and what he was doing in Kenya, I left all the money in Kenya. Then I went to Cyprus. My wife went back to Australia to fix the kids up because they're going through exams. I rang up my uncle. I said, Uncle, I need $80,000. You need to send me $80,000 so I can pay the house off because something happened. He said, oh, you left the money in Kenya, didn't you? I said, no, I'm not going to say anything. Anyway, so I'm sitting outside the back veranda of my house in Cyprus, and I'm arguing with God. And I'm saying to the Lord, listen, Father, you got the wrong guy. Me, I like to be at home in my recliner in the warm
yeah, watching The Simpsons.
Yeah, watching The Simpsons. That's what I like to do. I'm not a very active person. I don't like to run. I have no regime. I just want to be home watching TV. While I'm talking to God, arguing with God, the phone rings. Prior to me leaving Australia, I made an offer on a convent in my city. The convent was worth about $3 million, and I thought to myself, the nuns don't need the money. I'll make a $1 million offer, and if I don't get it, don't worry about it. I get a phone call from the agent, and he says, Mr. Tukas, the contract that you've offered is too low, but if you lift it up by $500,000, you can buy it. And I said, okay, I'll pay 1.5. That's all I'm going to say about that, except for I sold it in 6 months' time for $4.5 million, and then my life just went like that and like that. And God has blessed me in every facet of my life since I hooked up with Father Themi. And yeah, my life has changed. I'm not the same person that I was. Yet my family has changed too. My brothers, my sisters, my nieces, my nephews, my children.
Have come to Sierra Leone.
The young lady that was here feeding the children in the school class, that was my daughter. And my son was not a very spiritual young man. And in 2012, we went to Sierra Leone with my children, and I encourage everybody, you've got children, you should always go to a mission. When your children are old enough, show them the real world. Not this world that we live in, the beautiful world, the real world. And my son, on the way back from Sierra Leone, I said to him, well, son, how'd you go? He says, Dad, I saw Jesus. I thought, oh, wow. Maybe I've got a saint on my hands or something, right? And I said, oh, tell me, where did you see Jesus? He says, Dad, I saw Jesus in Father Themi. I said, how do you figure? He said, because no man in his right mind would do what he does. I tell you that if you can trust anybody, if you think that you want to help somebody in the missionary field, this man here and his mission is very important. I'd like now to ask you to think about donating to the American charity.
You ask the blessings of God.
Yes, Father, is that okay? My apologies. I'm from Australia. All the priests in Australia are my friends. We started Paradise for Kids in Australia 15 years ago outside of the Archdiocese of any church so that we can control the funding and the money. I'm proud to say that 97.8% of every cent we raise goes to the mission. We're all volunteers. We all pay our own way. The 2.2% is bank fees and audit fees. We get audited every month. I audit Australia, not me, but the auditor, every month on a monthly account. And then we have our yearly account. We started Paradise for Kids in the USA under the same idea, so that we made sure that all the money gets there, and everybody is a volunteer. So when people come to me and say to me, hey, I want to join the committee, that's great. You pay your own way, you do your own thing. Oh, I want to go to the mission field, I'm a nurse, that's great. You pay your own way, you don't do it for me. You're doing this with Jesus. If you're a Christian, we're welcome to have you. I'm very skeptical about people who want to go to the mission fields who don't want to do the job for the Lord because they want it for themselves. They've got to do it for God, because when you do it for God, you get blessed. So, with Paradise for Kids in the USA, we started 2, maybe 3 years ago. I want to share with you that throughout all of the world, we only have about 350 supporters, monthly supporters. I ask people to join on a monthly donation of $20 a month. Not anymore, don't need any more. Just $20 a month. The reason is this: you belong to a parish. This parish needs your money as well. It needs you to come in and, support the parish so that the priest can have a good life, so that he can be the right person to run this parish. So he's available to help the people here. You have schools that your children belong to. They deserve your funds as well. But I want to explain that when you donate to the church, it's your obligation. No, it's your duty to donate to this church. This is your church. You want your children to come here and your grandchildren. If you donate to your school, again, it's your duty because they're your kids that are going there. The true meaning of charity is to give to somebody who will never know who you are, so that your gift will be in heaven, so that the bank account is in the bank of God, so that the interest comes from Jesus himself. So I don't want to come here and say, excuse me lady, we're building a $300,000 orphanage and can you part with $100,000? No, I want $20 from as many people as I can get, because when I get Father Themi into Australia, we have a few functions, we raise a couple of $100,000. We're going to go down to New Jersey, we've got a function in New Jersey, a function in New York, we'll raise, I don't know, we might raise $50,000. That money there will help build the orphanage. But how do I pay for the food that we need to give to the poor? How do I pay, sorry, not me, the charity.
How do you feed the children?
Yeah, how do we feed the children? How do we pay the teachers? How do we give the equipment? There's nothing in this country.
The water.
Yeah, the water.
Generator.
There's no electricity. There's no, like you go there, and I've been there, I go there, I try to get there every year. You go there and Father Themi says, look, we've got the best room for you. Of course, the man's blind, so he can't see really what the room is like. And, I'm used to the Sheraton Mirage, and he's used to whatever he's used to, and he thinks that I'm happy with that. But I go there and I stay there, and it smells. It really smells. The last time I went there, I said to my daughter, go buy some disinfectant, go to my room and wash down every wall, because he thought it was wonderful. Look, it smelled. You just couldn't see him. And he said, okay, just talk to the people. You're going to yell at me when we get the car. You're going to yell at me when we get the car. So there's a great love between Brother Themi and I. And I've been with him for over 15 years. So I'm asking you to join Paradise for Kids in the USA. I'm asking you to donate $20 a month, 4 cups of coffee. Now, I'm going to tell you what $20 a month does. $20 a month will help Father Themi feed, educate and clothe 4 children a month. The average wage in Sierra Leone is 500,000 leones a month, which is about $45 US. We pay our teachers more because we want to give our teachers a good life. Everybody, whoever works for us, gets a minimum 500,000 leones, no matter what they do, whether they're a cleaner, whether they're this.
That's $100.
That's $100, sorry. So we have 60 staff, so we need $8,000 straight away just to keep the doors open. That's fine. Australia's doing that. The USA chapter is now taking care of the college and the professors and the teachers and the schools and the everything to do with the college. And as we grow, we'll allocate money to take care of the orphanage. Because as Father Themi said, we don't go to church and the poor people walk in and we say, hey, give us your money. Father Themi stands in church and gives money to the poor people. And if you know the story, I'm just going to finish off now, so I can talk forever. If you know the story about Jesus when he's walking down the street and the public thronged him, you know, they all came and they gathered around him and he said, someone's touched me. And the apostles said, what do you mean? There's like 5,000 people around him. The last time I was in Sierra Leone, we went to church. I was leaving Sunday afternoon. We finished the liturgy and I went to the car, waiting for Father Themi with my children. The distance was from the church here to probably the other side of the house. It took him an hour and a half to get there. Now, not that he was extremely in power or anything, I mean, they just wanted his money. But this man has never said no to anybody. So he will stop, he will talk to everybody, and he will give them whatever they need, within reason, of course, right? I mean, his discernment is amazing. So I can tell you now that our charity in the United States is a 501c, so it's tax deductible. So if you have a business, you can just write it off, and if you're, you know, it's a tax deductible charity, so you get it tax deductible. And I'm asking, no, I'm begging for $20 a month, a cup of coffee. And if enough people from the parish here join Paradise Kids USA, every time he comes to Australia, we'll make sure that he comes to this parish with the Father's blessings to show, you know, the updated video, to show an update of what's going on and where your funds are going. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for your hospitality. I want to thank you for taking care of Father Themi. And I'm going to leave, say, 20 of these forms out the front. Is that all right, Father? And so ask the Father what he thinks.
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay.
Say one for me.
So, I'll give you yours personally. All right? From the Aussie guy. And $20, I don't really need. I hate if you're worth like $5 billion, you can lift it up to 50, right? I'm happy to take the 50. But $20 is actually money. Thank you.
Everyone, please stand.
May the Lord God grant to your servant, the priest and missionary, Themi, may he grant the paradise for kids and all those who support him, especially all those who may serve. Peace, health, and happiness for many blessed years.
He really does. He's got an appointment at 7:30 at Holy Cross.